a look at the financial model. So the financial model, just to preface, works for both e-commerce and SaaS and hybrid models. So hybrid means like, so for example, a game, you can charge people every month, maybe like 100 naira to be a part of your game, and then um, you may say you have some bonuses that you can buy for your game, which maybe cost 500 naira, each time. So you can have that kind of hybrid. So we've included those, and then we'll talk about some of the common costs. So we'll show you how to fill out the e-commerce and the software as a service. We'll show you some of the common costs and how to put that into the model. And then we'll show you the profitability matrix. This is basically figuring out when your business, when is the first month that you will make more money than you spend. Really simple. And that's it. So let's go. So let's talk about the e-commerce model for first. So for your e-commerce, you're going to have like multiple products, right? You may sell three, you may say five, you may sell thousands, but what you're looking for is to get to the average revenue per sale and the average cost to produce. If you have thousands, I would suggest doing this somewhere else, and I'll just tell you how it works, and then we'll come back here and you'll just put these two numbers here. So here you're going to put the price of each product. So let's say you have one product that is 5,000 naira and another one that's 10,000 naira, right? And 70% of your orders come from product one, and 30% of your orders come from product two. More people are going to buy the cheaper version versus the more expensive version, right? And you only have these two products. That's all you sell, right? The cost to produce, we've put it at 60%, which is like, average. Basically, if you're a manufacturer, how much does it cost you to produce all these things, including your ingredients, the time you spend, just this is how much it costs you to produce, right? So we put it at 60%. So for 5,000 naira, that's 3,000. And these will automatically populate. But if you want to change them, you can go in and like change the little multiplication, or you could just put in like raw numbers. So let's say this actually cost me 5,000 naira. Oops, 5,000 naira to produce, and you can just manually change that. I'm going to take it back just so that this, stays like the way it originally was. Then your margin is how much over that do you have. So like in this case, you spend 5,000, you're spending 3,000 to produce it. Your margin is 2,000. That's money that you spend. It is not your profit because you'll have other expenses, and we'll talk about those in the costs sheet. So you have these two products. Your average per sale is just basically the average revenue per sale is basically you take the sum of all the revenue that you would make, all the prices, and you divide it by the number of products. Really simple. The cost to produce, you do the same thing for the costs to produce, and then manually you should put in like your shipping costs. So if you're gonna offer shipping to your customers, if things need to be shipped, some places, depending on when you are in Lagos, it's about 1,000 naira to 1,005, depending on what you're shipping, but you should build that in here. So you just put in. So let's say we are going to be err on the side of caution and just say 1.5, right? So boom, you have all your averages, right? So the number of sales, how many sales are you expecting your first month? And then how quickly you're expected to grow. So like we've put in that you're growing 5% every single month, you're going to grow 5%, right? So we will put in those, you put in the first two numbers and then it will calculate across. So only put in for January. So let's say we're planning to make 5 orders our first month, and we're growing at a rate of, we start at, our first month, obviously there's no growth because last month is 0, but you put in this number as well from when you're starting from. So let's say we're starting from 10, 10% growth in February. So we're going from 5 orders to 6 orders, and then every month we're going by 5. So by the end of the year, we should be getting 126 orders in December, if everything goes as planned. If you ever started a business, nothing will go as planned, which is why the financial model is based on assumptions. So this will fill out a whole bunch of other information, and we can go through this step by step in your one-on-one session if you sign up for one, when you sign up for one. And basically what you're trying to get down to is your revenue, your income that you'll make. Basically, you'll be selling 5 products, you're going to make like 6,000 naira from those selling those 5 products, and that kind of just grows over time, and then in the end of December, 160,000. Let's up this a little bit so that we are, you can think that maybe you'll make 50, maybe you have a large network of people who support you and want to sell, you're planning to do lots of heavy marketing. Just basically that number flows in, and then you can just kind of look at the revenue. So, right, so that's the e-commerce one. The software as a service is a little bit more complicated. Now, there are two things you need to there's one thing you kind of need to know about software as a service. You need to know what churn is and what your churn rate is. So, churn is the percentage of people who will continue to subscribe after they've paid the first month. So, typically, software as a service has a trial. After the trial, then you choose to pay your second month, or you can abandon, or you could choose to pay your third month and then abandon. So your churn rate is basically the rate at which people will stop using your service. Um, we've put 10 here, and in your first month is going to probably be the worst, because as you're figuring things out and figuring out the best way to model your business, you'll get better and better at that over time. So we've put like every month we're going to get like 0.5. We're going to reduce our churn rate by 0.5, and by July we would have figured it out, and we will have a nice solid churn rate of about 7%, right? Okay, so you're gonna put in how many new trials you think you're gonna get in a month, right? So let's say your very first month you're gonna get 100 trials. Boom, great. Then based on your churn, and then your growth rate, we've said like, okay, you're gonna grow at 40%. So we said every month we're timing it by 1.4. And by the end of the year, 4,000 people will be trying your service in December. Maybe you have a marketing team. However you get that number, we'll discuss in one of the later slides. Your try to paid conversion rate is basically if people try for 30 days, what percentage of people are going to actually end up paying. So based on that, you are going to put in your numbers. So the number you're going to put is your average revenue per client. Now, a lot of software as a service models have different levels. So, like if you think of Netflix or Spotify, or even your gym membership, they may have gold, silver, premium. So you basically want to take the average of that, the same way you did in the for e-commerce, right? So let's say on average people are gonna pay 5,000 naira. Boom, all your stuff is populated, and you want to start looking at your monthly recurring revenue. So this line is how much money you will receive every month from subscriptions. So your first month, 100,000, and then you're gonna go, and then by December you'll be making 3 million naira. Boom, wonderful. So that's how the software as a service works, and that's how this particular sheet works. And let's go into the cost. Cost is everything that you're going to be spending. So broken down into 4 categories: salaries, office expenses, technology, and marketing. Right? So salaries, this first column is all annual. So you want to put in people's annual salaries, and then you want to put in whether or not receive a fringe benefit. So a lot of people, startups, to attract the great clients, will tell people, hey, if we're doing well, we're going to give you a bonus, blah, blah, blah. If we're making money, if we're making revenue, you're going to get a bonus if we meet certain targets, right? So let's say, and then a lot of people don't pay either don't pay or highly underpay their top management. Usually the CEO is a founder. So if you pay yourself a salary, then you would put it here what the annual salary should be. So let's say as a CEO, you're gonna be paying yourself 1 million, naira a year. I would say build this in there because a lot of people will fail because they've not accounted for salaries at all. So put something in there, something small, something, because you still have to eat, just by this startup. Unless you have like a full-time job and this is just something you're doing on the side, then you don't have to, but I would recommend it. So these are like your engineers, like if you're doing any development work. Now, if you're doing development work and they are just giving you a package, then there's a different place for that. But if you're going to hire a developer, which I would recommend if you're building an app, not so much if you're building a website, then you would put their salaries here. So let's say the whole year you're going to pay this person maybe 5 million naira. Yep, he's going to make more than the CEO, which is not uncommon because this person is not as invested. Sorry, this is your CTO. So yeah, they're not as invested. And then you can just put in so you can put it in here. Then you're going to put in the start date. When is this person going to start collecting that salary? So let's say your social media person is not going to start till March 1st. And you're going to pay them 50,000 naira a month. Boom, you could put 600,000 there and it goes across. So let's talk about office expenses. You may or may not be paying rent. Maybe you're paying 1.2 million in rent, other OPEX, power, stuff like that, maybe 600,000. And any more that you want to add, and then it will just do them. And again, these are annual costs, so that it can amortize them across the year. Hosting and other expenses. What are you going to pay your web hosts? People are holding your servers and stuff like that. Let's say you're going to pay $1 million. Boom. And then once you're done, you'll see marketing. Marketing, let's say you're going to have a marketing campaign and it's going to start in April because your developers have said that's when you're going to launch. Maybe you're going to put 500,000 in marketing, and April 1st you'll start seeing that add up. And then this is what you're going to spend in a year. So this is the amount of money that you should have right off the bat for the whole year. Like, however you plan to come up with this money is great. So here are just some little things. So like, this is going to calculate your burn rate. So if you do not have any monetization, which means you're not selling anything, you're not collecting money from your customers in any way, this is how much you are going to be needing to spend on a monthly basis, right? If you are going to put in capital, this number here is your burn rate. This is how many months it will take for that money to finish, right? And you can put in like, so this is if you're actually going to be charging people a software as a service. This is going to be for e-commerce. So you can just take a look at those numbers and see how long you'll have until the money finishes. Then the final one is your profitability. In your profitability, you can now see at what point, in which month, will you be selling enough to cover your expenses. And for this particular one, like this one has a hybrid. So if you have one or the other will be zero. But if you have a hybrid, they'll be both there. These are going to be your costs every month. And then every month, you'll see in May, you will start to earn a profit. Great. So that's how you fill out the financial model. And this can help you start kind of see what kind of growth you need, how much you should spend on marketing, how much you should pay people. It's really easy and simple, and it's a great way to figure out how to kind of structure your business.